Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of Creativity Connects with Mikki Wilson. And this is a Creative Collective podcast where we are diving deeper beyond the brand and learning about the real journeys of women in business. I am Mikki. I'm your host. I'm also a Creative Collective team member, and I am the founder and owner of Dot Connector Consulting. As a dot connector, my job is to bring women together. I create spaces for real connections, and I help build collaborative relationships that help women move forward and collapse their timeline to success in business. Creative Collective is a business support program that provides modern resources, strategy, and community for small businesses and creators. Through this podcast, we're really highlighting the incredible women in our network, sharing their relatable stories, talking about the messy middles and those meaningful moments that rarely get seen, but definitely deserve to be celebrated. So today, I am here talking to my friend and fellow business owner, Shanel Anderson. And Shanel, we're diving deep into your story today. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here in this space.
Hello, Mikki. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right,
Thank you
shake
for
off
having
the
me.
shake off the nerves. We're just gonna keep it real, have a natural conversation. But I want the audience to know a little bit more about you. So, Shanel Anderson is the founder of Soul City Yoga, one of the few Black women-owned yoga studios in Massachusetts. It's a vibrant, community-centered space in Lynn, Massachusetts, where she is on a mission to make yoga inclusive, accessible, and empowering, especially for communities often left out of the wellness space. So, Shanel's work challenges stereotypes, it builds belonging, and creates a space where everyone can show up exactly as they are. Isn't that nice? So today we're diving into her story, into the story behind her mission and her powerful impact. So get ready, folks, because this is going to be a good one. So are you ready to talk?
I am. Thank you so much for having me. That was such a beautiful characterization and introduction. I hope that that's the way everyone describes Soul City. That was fantastic. I'm just gonna take you around with me, Mikki. We'll just walk around together, and you'll introduce it every single time. That was wonderful.
This is why people call me I really want people to learn more about that, about the ecosystem, not just the ecosystem you're building, but like what really drove you to choose this, what makes you wake up every day, all those fun moments. So let's lock in, let's dive in.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we touch on business in general, I want to start with you. I want people to know who Shanel Anderson is, right? So, can you tell me a little bit about the experiences or the values that have shaped who you are today?
As you said, my name is Shanel Anderson. I am a product of the city of Lynn. I grew up in Lynn in the 90s, went through all of Lynn elementary schooling, but was brought up as a first generation American. My parents are from Barbados, so I have very strong Bajan roots and their connection to the Caribbean community in Boston and on the North Shore was a very large part of my growing up. And so I grew up with very strong community service values, bringing your community together, being with your people, understanding, being proud of your heritage, being proud of who you are, but also that incredible American dream, that story about coming and making the most of everything and having opportunities that you haven't had. Which I grew up with roots and wings. I would say largely rooted in community service from teenage years in my local church and youth groups and volunteering and working in service in school. And working with youth, and that just has led and been the foundation for everything. And it turns out that it was a natural progression to bring that into the business and bring that into my mission as well.
I love that. So it's really community is a big thing for you. It's not just you're building it, but you really like live this and you've seen it role modeled. So that makes me want to ask you how did you find yoga? How did you find a yoga community um, before it ultimately started to inspire you to go deeper?
This is actually one of the first questions we ask anyone coming to join our team. How did you find yoga? How did yoga find you? I found yoga through YouTube, DVDs, kind of on and off, not really understanding what all the hype was about. Didn't really, true story, didn't really love it when I first started. Everyone was doing it, was very popular. And I couldn't really get into it, but, I had tried. So cut to 2012. No, that's a lie. Sorry. My first pregnancy with my oldest child. Don't ask me to do the math. He's 14. We'll figure it out. Somebody do the math. He's 14. My first pregnancy with him was largely uneventful. My husband and I were starting a business at the time. So we were just kind of starting out and scratching that entrepreneurial itch. But I was pregnant and kind of digging into business ownership at the same time. Did not exercise at all, did not move my body, did not walk. And again, in the beginning stages of starting a business at that time, there was just a lot of stress. So there wasn't a lot of movement. Delivery day comes, and he was pretty large, and it was a pretty traumatic birth. There were a lot of things that I was not prepared for. The Black women in healthcare conversation is a whole other piece, but even my own kind of body awareness, I did not have. So I have a baby. Everything's fine. He's growing, and a few years later, I find myself pregnant again for some strange reason after that experience. So for my second pregnancy, I've talked it over with my husband. I'm like, this time, I am doing something, no matter what it is. But I'm not a worker-outer. I'm not a person who loves to I don't love boot camp. I don't want to run. I don't want to, do anything really intensive. And so I started doing prenatal yoga. And I did prenatal yoga every Sunday at 4:00 for probably from 15 weeks on. And it was a complete game changer. I had a quick and easy delivery second time. I mean, relatively. What is delivery? It's not easy. But the body awareness piece was the thing that really changed my mind and my understanding of the importance of yoga and how it helps you in all of these ways. It's not just meditation. It is strengthening your body and taking care of yourself and helping your range of motion and preventing injury. So I have a delivery. My second delivery was a lot less dramatic, and I recovered a lot more quickly, and I was really ready to get back in there and get into the routine of mothering two children at that time. And once my second son was born, I decided as soon as he's old enough, I'm going to enroll in the teacher training program, and so I did. And that was that first step was, this has helped me so much. I want to learn to teach so that I can help others.
Yeah, I love this. I love this story. So I love this experience and those values that shaped you. So I've asked you how you found your way into the world of yoga and wellness, but I want to dive a touch a little bit deeper on that and what made you want to build a space like Soul City Yoga that centers inclusion and accessibility. And I remember when I met you years ago, you told me a story about your grandfather. And so can we talk about that and how that has how that connection, right? And how that story has created a foundation for Soul City.
Yeah, wow. Ooh, take it to Grampy. So the finding my way into the idea of creating a space really happened during my training. In teacher training, it's a lot of people coming together. For most people, it is the most intense internal study that people have done on themselves in a while. It is 200 hours. It's, depending on the structure of whatever program you're in, you're going to have a good number of hours locked in with a group of people. And during the transformation of your training process, you learn about yourself, you learn about the practice, you learn about the philosophy, you learn about all the ways that we are connected as humans. And so also during that time, people are making decisions in their lives, and so would come in and I quit my job, and people are like, yay, or I decided I'm going to do this full time. And so a lot of the conversation during your training is, what are your intentions? Are you in the training to teach? Are you here to deepen your knowledge? Do you, what are your goals after this? And so some people want to teach, some people don't want to teach, some people were just, I'm retired now and I have the time. I really love yoga. I want to get into it. I want to learn more. But so it came about during my training that I wanted to share yoga with people in Lynn. And I just thought, I'm a member of a church in Lynn that I, grew up in. I could just teach in the basement of the church and just start there and just kind of teach around Lynn and see what's going on. And the owner of the studio at the time, actually, still now, the owner of Barnsoul, Andrea Isabel Lucas, shout out, Women Empowering Women, she had a meditation. We had a vision boarding kind of workshop that happened during the training, and you essentially kind of lay out what are your goals for the next 3-6 months. How are you going to go about pursuing your goals, choosing an accountability partner, all of those things. So from that kind of just first seeded idea was the challenge to create an action plan, which, as we know, is the difference between
important.
doing or not doing. So I created my little action plan and thought, well, I don't know if anything's going to come of this, but let's see how far we can take it. And so the 3-month plan, the 1 week plan was go to City Hall in Lynn and see if anyone was opening a yoga studio or had already, if there was one that I didn't know about. My 3-month goal was to secure a space, maybe, and the 6-month goal was to the 3-month goal was to figure out how it was going to happen. 6-month goal was to secure a space. So from that first challenge, walk into City Hall and ask the question. It was really, I've used this analogy a million times, but I'm going to keep doing it. The Billie Jean video. Michael Jackson is walking on the lit tiles,
and
right?
they light up.
And they light up. And that's just exactly what I did. Everywhere I stepped, there was a light and there was a yes. And that is kind of how it happened. And so by the end of my training, I had a space, I had an idea, I had a name, I had, all of these things just kind of came flooding through. My grandfather, who is a huge part of my life, who just passed recently, he was the first entrepreneur kind of that I ever knew.
Wow.
He worked for the GE, came to this country.
Shout out to the GE. My dad worked at the GE.
Exactly.
Look, okay.
Listen, there's a lot. There's a lot going on there. So came to this country, brought his children here, my father, all of that. So my grandfather was a hardworking man and also had a side landscaping business. And I used to, hang out with him. We lived in a 3-family. He lived upstairs. I would go upstairs and see him, setting up his receipts and doing all of his things. And he had all this stuff. And I'm like, how? You're just one guy. You have receipts? You could be a business as a person? And so when it was finally time to kind of bring this dream into reality, I went to my grandfather and I literally wrote him a business plan. I told him all what was going to happen, what were my intentions, what was my plan, what is yoga? You're telling your grandfather, what is yoga?
Right.
What is yoga? Can you help me? My grandfather gave me a small loan, and because again, part of my journey is there was no cashed out 401k. There were no banks giving loans to me in this beginning stage. It was really just kind of a family funding situation. So my grandfather gave me a small loan, and I opened Soul City in the Lydia Pinkham building in Lynn in 2016. And he came to my ribbon cutting, and it was just like, it was one of those full circle moments. But again, the foundation of community, all of it came together in such a natural way that it was so appropriate that he would be the one to help me start this, and that like that kind of baton passing of make your own way
Yeah.
and good luck.
Yep.
And it really has just, I think, blessed the entire experience.
I love that. It certainly has. And the blessing continues because, look, I know you are building more than an ecosystem. You're really building on generational legacy here. And I just love your story because there's a couple of things that I'd love to talk about. And then I just want to highlight what you said. And that is the power of someone believing in you. Right? Because we can believe in ourselves, but sometimes we have that person that sees something in us or just believes in us in a different way than people around us. And that support is a game changer when it comes to starting the business, continuing the business, and everything. I love that you weave community all throughout, like your story. That is a big part of your value system, right? And especially as a Black woman, I think having exposure to entrepreneurship is very helpful when it's your turn to figure out how you want to solve a problem. So I love that you saw him doing it. I think role modeling in community is hugely important. So again, that story about your grandfather and just how seeing that and you wondering, it made you curious. And when the time came, you went, look, family funding, shout out to that. There's not a lot of people that can tell that story successfully either, but it's the planting of a seed.
Right.
And you, my friend, are the tree. No pun intended, because we know that tree is a yoga pose. Yes, I did that. I love this. I could dive so much deeper, but I wanna explore the why a little bit now.
Yeah.
I want to know why it's personally important to you. Why is it so important to disrupt the traditional yoga and wellness space? Because when we think of yoga, we all have a very specific image of what that looks like to us wherever we're at, right? And so why is it important to disrupt the traditional yoga space? And what impact are you hoping to create for your community and other communities?
The purpose piece. My initial kind of dipping of a toe into the yoga world, as you can imagine, was probably not as warm and welcoming as it should have been. And this is, way back 2014, 2012, pre-COVID. And I say that for a reason. I'll get to that after. But in the beginning days, it was, few and far between. You're going to see other Black people in a class, or you're going to even feel welcome. Mind you, we're on the North Shore, so even more diverse yoga populations that you would find if you would have to go to to Boston, JP, Coolidge Corner to even get a little melanin in your class.
Right.
And so I had a lot of experiences around here that were like, interesting. Now, unfortunately for the world, I'm not the kind of person who, I'm not welcome here. Let me just stop coming.
Right.
I will continue to come.
I'm going to take up this space.
I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here until, you can see that there's actually no reason for you to be, resistant to me being here. That being said, though, I didn't become more confident or comfortable until I was more confident and comfortable in the practice itself, which is, the catch-22. You can't build confidence until you can be in the space and be more confident. And then if you can't be in the space to build your confidence, all the things.
I just want to say that was a whole word. We'll get back to that afterwards. But building confidence is being in the space, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
And so, obviously, if I'm creating a space, it's going to be for everyone. It's going to be for us, and it's going to be for everyone, especially. So, and knowing the ways that yoga helped me physically, but also as I got deeper into the practice, the meditation piece, the sound healing, all of the tools that would support me through the most intense period of my life and of running and owning this business, we're all right here. And as we have traveled further down the rabbit hole over the past 10 years, watching the things that have gone on in the world, in our communities, and still not having that that sense of ownership of your own breath, your own peace, your own, your own tools to solve problems within yourself. I knew that I needed to at least try to be a part of creating something that would contribute to that and show people that people like me, dark skin beauties, can lead, can teach classes, can own fitness businesses, can own boutique yoga studios, can create a space where everyone feels welcome, can exist in this space. Why not? There are so many white women who own yoga studios. Why not?
Right.
Why not? And I think there was a second piece of that, but yeah, really just wanting to be, I'm mostly here because you don't want me to be here, but I serve a purpose here. I want to share this practice. I want to share peace and wellness and breath work with everyone and anyone, and it should be accessible to everyone, and there should be no financial barrier to wellness.
I love that, and I love you, and I love what you're doing, and I just want to take this moment to affirm and let the audience know, like, you are changing the industry. I've been watching you behind the scenes, and I know that there is another evolution in business coming up for you, and I can't wait to see this next level because you are changing the space. The fact that you can create a space where people can come in, be seen. It's yoga, so you're not necessarily being heard, but the inversion of that is that you actually get a space where you can tap into yourself and hear yourself, and do that with a beautiful facilitator that I call Shanel Anderson. So Shanel, as we wrap up, I want to focus on community and close us out that way, because we know now, especially more than ever, how important community is. People are looking for it. They're tapped into it. They're looking for the right communities for them. But knowing that, and especially for women and creatives that are doing meaningful work, community is essential. So can you tell me, what is being part of a community like Creative Collective mean to you?
I wanted to roll it back just a moment to the community piece, because community to me has always meant, and again, through a different lens, growing up on the North Shore, first generation, and feeling and seeing the importance of community and working together with your neighbors and all different kinds of people, and we can all work together. Seeing how that definition of community has carried over into the business. For me, my definition of community is a group of people that reflect actually the world that we live in, the real world that we're in, interacting with all different kinds of people, all different sizes, shapes, orientations, everything. Those things are very important, because it's only when we come together with all of our differences and do one common thing like breathing or yoga, or trying something that maybe you're vulnerable, you might be off balance, all of that, doing those things in the same room with all of those different people, it reinforces our similarities and kind of dissolves all of that, the differences and the categories that we keep trying to force ourselves into so that we can separate ourselves. And so as we cut to 2025 and the redefinition of community and the importance of being able to know and trust your community and your community members, and know that the people that you move with and call community also call you community when you're not around. I feel like that is where the Creative Collective and organizations like it are strongest, where it is not just kind of a performative. I've been to the events. I have seen and heard and dealt with and the incredible talent and the unbelievable variety of creatives, and all of the things that I mentioned, the different kinds of people with different perspectives, all working together because they know that we're stronger together. That's it is the thing that keeps me going, that drives me, the thing that made me want to create Soul City, in spite of, for another time, the actual nitty gritty of running the business day to day. But for the most part, creating that safe space, creating that umbrella, and that's what I want my legacy to be, is that I was able to bring people together to do this thing that they may not have otherwise done, that ultimately fortified their own strength of themselves to be better in the community at large. That's like what I feel Soul City is here for. That's what our exchange is with the community.
Love that. Look, everybody get familiar. I just want to tap on something you say about community before I close us out. And you're right. There has been like a redefining of what community is. And I see that too as the founder of my own community. And I always kind of hesitate to say the word because I know I'm not building community in the sense that people have come to know it. And so again, my friend, I think you're an ecosystem builder. I think you're building. I think that is the future that we're moving into. This redefinition of community is entrepreneurs need ecosystems. You need people you can tap into, and it's just more than a network where it's just focused on the business, right? We need an ecosystem for all the parts of our lives. So I love how you're touching on community and bringing it into Soul City. You infuse us with your energy within Creative Collective too. And yeah, everybody find the community that feeds you back, right? That speaks your name into the rooms too. So my friend, before I close us out, where can the people find you? I'm going to share all the information in these podcast notes, but if there is a one-stop shop, where can we find you?
You can find me at Soul City Yoga in Lynn on Oxford Street in the Caldwell Building, 192 Oxford, or in Malden at Soul City in Malden at 126 Pleasant Street.
I love this. And because I predict the future, I'm pretty sure we're going to see you on the go past the brick and mortars too. You're making a big name for yourself out in these streets.
We're trying.
And I love it. There's no trying people. She's doing it. She's being modest. So I just want to say, Shanel, thank you so much. It is always lovely to talk to you, but I love getting to put the spotlight and amplify your brilliance, what you're doing, and how you're doing it as a real human, and really putting love and experience and value into what you're creating. So I thank you. And I thank the audience. That is it for today's episode of Creativity Connects. Huge thank you to my friend Shanel Anderson, not just for sharing what she does, but for really sharing who she is, and for reminding us how powerful it is to build spaces where people can feel seen, supported, and strong, right? Strong yoga body. This podcast...
Strong yoga mind.
Strong yoga minds, people. Yes, drop the knowledge. This podcast is brought to you by Creative Collective, a business support program providing modern resources, strategy, and connection for small businesses and creators. Because I love saying this, building something meaningful doesn't mean that you should be doing it alone. So if you want to learn more about my friend Shanel and Soul City Yoga, check out the show notes for links and ways to connect with her and with the studio. And if something in today's conversation resonated with you, please share it with us. Please share it with someone who needs to hear it, because these stories are meant to move and connect us all. Until next time, I ask you to keep building, keep connecting, and keep showing up as you are. I am Mikki Wilson, your dot connector, and this is Creativity Connects.